So Men in Black 3 came out a while ago and it got pretty good reviews. 72 on Metacritic, 68 on Rotten Tomatoes. And that all makes sense! It's a highly functional action movie that blends elements of sci-fi, buddy cop, and detective movies. Well, all buddy cops are kind of actually detective movies, so maybe those two don't count as separate things, but whatever. There's explosions and one-liners, and there's some boobs at the beginning, and Will Smith is in it, so obviously it's gonna be a well-functioning action movie. But as you're probably aware, unless this video is the first thing you're watching after crawling out from under your rock, in which case I'm very flattered and welcome to 2012, Men in Black 3 is a time travel movie. In November of last year, I participated in NaNoWriMo and spent the month working over the first draft of a novel that revolved entirely around time paradoxes, so they have a special place in my heart. I spent a lot of time mulling over whether this detail makes sense in multiple timelines and paid special attention to making sure there was consistency within each of my alternate realities. Men in Black 3 doesn't do that. Looking at an example of what I consider to be a great time paradox movie, The Terminator, we can see that the film doesn't spend any time in a scenario in which the time paradox doesn't exist. The timeline in which Tyler Reese goes back and fathers John Connor is the only one that exists, emphasizing the absolute nature of the paradox. In Men in Black 3, we are shown a reality in which J doesn't go back in time and K is killed. Putting that in Terminator terms, that's like showing us a reality in which the Terminator goes back in time, but Reese doesn't. In the small number of scenes that we spend in this reality, it's revealed to us that Tay is killed at Cape Canaveral. This means he's able to figure out how and why to be there without Jay's help. This means that in a lot of scenes, Jay's presence is pointless because he's not needed to figure that much of the case out. However, he is! The next part has spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and you want to, stop watching. If you haven't seen it and you don't want to, then come on. Oh, and people who have seen it too, you guys keep watching as well. Jay reads the case files early in the film, so he has a vague idea of some of the things that are going to unfold. One of the details he recalls is that there's a location identified with the word factory. Jay assumes that it's referring to some sort of manufacturing plant, but Kay is able to piece together that it's actually referring to Andy Warhol's art gallery in New York, The Factory. Now, to be fair, Kay could have totally just stumbled into the factory without Jay's help and found what they were looking for. However, they don't know what they're looking for. What they find, however, is an alien who exists in 5 dimensions, and to make it simple, sees into the future. He makes a passing comment about something being miraculous that makes no sense. However, it's Jay's future knowledge of the 1969 Miracle Mets Game 5 victory that allows them to go and find where the alien is hanging out, which is the stadium where that game takes place. Aside from the fact that Jay has an active role in advancing the plot, because that's just screenwriting 101, you don't have a pointless character who stands around doing nothing for half the film, he also has a physical presence in the action sequences like the fight scenes and the chase scenes, which any rational person can tell you would unravel differently if he wasn't there. So in each of these action sequences, we're watching Jay and Kay overcome obstacles together, but we have to ask how Kay overcomes them by himself, because the film implicitly tells us that he does. Once I went to a panel discussion of science fiction and science, we watched the fantastic Moon, and then afterwards a panel of experts started to break down the film. One of the speakers insisted on focusing on the technical specifications of future procedures that the film was clearly not addressing. I'll put this the best I can without spoiling anything. Moon is a film that's not about doing something, it's about what happens when something has been done. Blaming a film for not properly addressing subject matter that it clearly doesn't address at all isn't fair, and you'll always find fault with a film if you take that approach. I'm saying this as a disclaimer because I feel it's what I may be accused of in making this video. You're thinking too much. You're asking too many questions. It's just a summer film that's supposed to shut your brain off. To those accusations I would say, it's a time paradox movie. As a filmmaker, if you're just trying to distract an audience and turn their brains off, perhaps a story that deals with the impossible realities created by twisted space-time isn't the best way to do it. You'll see me tomorrow.